Ramses II, also known as Ramesses the Great, was one of the most famous and successful pharaohs of ancient Egypt. He ruled during the New Kingdom in the 19th dynasty. From 1279 BCE to 1213 BCE, his reign lasted 66 years, which made him one of the longest ruling leaders in Egyptian history. Because of his military achievements, his large family, and the many monuments he built, he became a symbol of strength and royalty. Many people today still recognize his name, even thousands of years after his death. Ramses II was born around 1303 BCE. His grandfather was Ramses I, the founder of the 19th dynasty, and his father was Seti I, one of Egypt's respected warrior kings. As a young prince, Ramses saw how the Egyptian army was trained, how temples were built, and how the government was managed. He learned to ride chariots, shoot bows, and lead troops. These early experiences helped prepare him for the role he would eventually take as a strong pharaoh. From a young age, he also joined his father on military campaigns, giving him first-hand experience of battle. By the time Ramses was a teenager, his father appointed him as a prince regent, meaning he was almost a co-ruler. This was a rare honor for someone so young. It showed that Seti I trusted Ramses and believed he would be a worthy pharaoh. When Seti I died, Ramses II took the throne, likely in his early 20s. Egypt at this time was powerful, wealthy, and respected across the ancient world. However, the empire also faced threats from strong neighbors, especially the Hittite Empire in the north. Ramses would spend much of the first part of his reign dealing with these rivals. One of the most famous events in Ramses II's life was the Battle of Kadesh, fought around 1274 BCE. This battle was between Egypt and the Hittites, who controlled much of what is today Turkey and Syria. The city of Kadesh was important because it was located in a strategic area of Syria, giving access to valuable trade routes. Both empires wanted to control it, and this led to tension and eventually war. Ramses II gathered a large army and marched north to confront the Hittites. The Hittite king, Nefertari II, also prepared his forces. What made the battle famous was its size. Historians believe it may have been the largest chariot battle ever fought. Chariots were the most powerful military vehicles of the time, and both sides had thousands of them. At Kadesh, Ramses II made mistakes. He believed false information sent by Hittite spies that the enemy was far away, so he moved his troops forward too quickly. The Hittites then launched a surprise attack. For a moment, the Egyptian army was in serious danger. Ramses, however, is said to have shown great bravery. Egyptian texts say he personally led counterattacks and rallied his troops. Whether the stories were exaggerated or not, Ramses managed to avoid defeat. In the end, the battle did not have a clear winner. Both sides suffered losses, and neither gained full control of Kadesh. Still, Ramses II claimed it as a great personal victory and recorded it proudly on the walls of many temples. These carvings show Ramses riding his chariot boldly into the fight. Although the truth may have been less dramatic, the story helped build Ramses' image as a heroic warrior king. The battle became one of the most documented events in ancient history because both Egyptians and Hittites wrote about it. Years after the Battle of Kadesh, Egypt and the Hittite Empire grew tired of fighting. The Hittites also faced threats from other enemies, and Egypt wanted stability in the region. Around 1258 BCE, Ramses II and the Hittite king Hattusili III signed what historians call the world's first recorded peace treaty. Copies of this treaty still survive today in Egypt and in the archives of the Hittites. The treaty promised that both sides would stop attacking each other. They also agreed to return refugees and help one another in case of internal rebellion. To strengthen the new friendship, Ramses II later married a Hittite princess, which was a sign of trust and cooperation. This peaceful relationship helped both empires enjoy several decades of stability. The treaty is considered a major achievement of ancient diplomacy. Ramses II was not only a warrior, but also one of the greatest builders in Egyptian history. During his long reign, he ordered the construction of many temples, monuments, statues, and cities. These projects helped show the power of Egypt and also honored the gods. His building activity was so massive that many structures across Egypt bear his name. Some he built from scratch. Others he repaired or expanded. One of his most famous building projects was the creation of the city of Pi-Ramesses, which became the new capital of Egypt during his reign. Located in the Nile Delta, it was a grand city with palaces, temples, stables, and military storehouses. It served as a base for the army and a symbol of Ramses's power. The city was filled with statues and decorations representing him and the gods. Another remarkable achievement was the construction of the temples of Abu Simbel, located in southern Egypt near the border with Nubia. These temples were carved directly into a mountain. The larger temple features 4 giant statues of Ramses II seated at the entrance, each about 20 meters tall. Inside, the walls show scenes of the king presenting offerings to the gods. The smaller temple is dedicated to his beloved queen Nefertari. These temples were meant to impress visitors and remind neighboring regions of Egypt's strength. Ramses II also added to the famous Karnak temple and completed parts of the Ramesseum, his own grand mortuary temple in Thebes. Everywhere he built, he left inscriptions praising the gods and celebrating his achievements. Because of his massive building program, archaeologists today find his name on monuments from one end of Egypt to the other. This is one of the reasons why he became so well known. Ramses II was also famous for having a very large family. He had many wives, though his most important queen was Nefertari, whom he deeply loved and honored. He built a beautiful tomb for her in the Valley of the Queens, decorated with colorful paintings that still survive today. He also dedicated one of the temples at Abu Simbel to her, which was unusual. Most temples were dedicated only to gods or to the pharaoh himself. In addition to Nefertari, he married other queens, including a number of foreign princesses from regions such as the Hittite Empire. These marriages were not only personal relationships but also political alliances designed to strengthen Egypt's diplomacy. Ramses II fathered an enormous number of children. Some estimates say he had over 100 sons and daughters. His children often worked as priests, military commanders, or administrators. Many of them appear in wall carvings and statues, showing them standing beside their father in ceremonies. Ramses outlived many of his sons, and the one who eventually succeeded him was his 13th son, Merneptah. During his long reign, Ramses II carried out military campaigns not only in the north against the Hittites, but also in the south in Nubia, modern Sudan. Nubia was important to Egypt because it had gold mines and other valuable resources. Ramses strengthened Egypt's control over this region through military power and by building monuments that showed Egyptian authority. He also maintained diplomatic relationships with other kingdoms in the Middle East. Letters and records from this period show that trade, marriage, and political agreements helped connect Egypt with distant lands. The peace treaty with the Hittites was one part of this international network. Ramses II lived a very long life for his time. He died in his 90s, which was extraordinary in the ancient world. By the time he died, he had ruled for more than 6 decades, seen several generations grow up, and left behind a massive legacy. He was originally buried in the Valley of the Kings, in a tomb now known as KV7. However, because of tomb robbers, priests in later centuries moved his mummy to a safer location. His mummy was discovered in 1881 in a secret royal cache at Deir el-Bahri, along with the mummies of other pharaohs. Today, his body is preserved in the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Cairo. Researchers studying his remains found signs of arthritis, dental problems, and hardening arteries, showing that he experienced the health issues of old age. Ramses II became known as Ramses the Great for several reasons. His extremely long reign gave him time to build, fight, rule, and leave a deep mark on Egypt. His monuments were so widespread that later Egyptians admired him and copied his example. Some later pharaohs even took his name to honor him. Because he built so many statues and temples, his image is everywhere in Egypt's ancient sites. Tourists today still marvel at Abu Simbel, the Ramesseum, and his grand statues. His bold descriptions of the Battle of Kadesh helped create an image of him as a heroic warrior, even if the reality was more complicated. He also played a major role in one of the earliest examples of an international peace treaty. Some historians believe that Ramses II might be the pharaoh mentioned in certain religious traditions, though this idea is debated. What is clear is that his long rule shaped the history of ancient Egypt in ways few other rulers accomplished. Ramses II's legacy can be understood in 3 main ways. First, he strengthened Egypt's political power through diplomacy and military campaigns. Second, he showed the cultural and religious importance of the pharaoh by building impressive monuments. Third, he helped maintain stability during a time when many other regions in the world were experiencing conflict. Even after thousands of years, Ramses II remains one of the most recognized names from ancient history. Scholars continue to study his reign, and new discoveries are still being made in the sites he built. His life shows the power, ambition, and creativity that shaped ancient Egyptian civilization,